In a podcast land where thoughts collide, Brian and Craig will be your guide. No topic too small, no tale too tall. Tune in, laugh out, you'll have a ball. From mysteries deep to light-hearted jokes in a poker rhythm where laughter invokes. Untitled is their name, the fun untamed. Each episode a ride, this shows their claim. Untitled, Brian and Craig, get ready for a twist and a leg shake. In a quirky world where anything goes, join the ride as the madness flows.
This is the first episode of the year!
2025!
Yay! Well, okay, it's not the
Yay!
first episode of the year, but it's the first episode we recorded.
Recorded
in the year.
in the
Right.
year, yeah. So that counts for something. It's also episode 13.
It is episode 13. Lucky 13. Or unlucky 13.
Let's
Well-
go with lucky. I like the number 13.
Well, in your case, it's unlucky once we get to the brain break segment, because
Oh,
boy
no.
howdy, you're gonna be a mess.
Oh, good. So I have that to look forward to. You've been taking it so easy on me. We're just having like wonderful stories about Bill's lads and cats that eat children.
Yeah.
Very pleasant, very fun.
Well, the cats that eat children, I mean, I think there should be always giant cats. Sorry, I think there should always be the fear of a giant cat roaming the countryside to eat. Call me old-fashioned, but I think we never should have wandered away from that.
I like that you're committed to the old time values. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, here we are. It's January. Christmas is in the rear view. New Year's Day is in the rear view. Football
New Year's
playoffs
Day.
are about to start. We may be at odds next week for a brief period.
Be bad. That's not true. We'll still
No,
talk
we will
to each
definitely
other.
talk to each other. Yeah, absolutely. So
So,
yeah, the Broncos will probably play the Bills next week unless the Broncos just crap the bed this weekend and don't make the playoffs, which is possible. Anything's possible. But yeah, should the Broncos win this week, they will be playing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, New York next week. So
and
that could be
it's
fun.
gonna suck because I don't know if it'll snow and be cold or just be cold. It might just be cold. But anyways, yeah.
Well-
No, the Bills. I'm pretty excited for the Bills because they're actually doing well, and I think they're pulling out the B team this week. I think.
They probably are. Yeah, I think Josh Allen has like this long start streak, so he's going to play like a few plays so that he can continue his starting streak, and then they're going to have Mitch Trubisky play the rest of the game, and it's going to be mostly the B team going in because the Bills have nothing to play for. They will be the 2 seed in the playoffs in the AFC. So
Yeah, and we're gonna have
Yeah.
Buffalo Joe Andreessen. I'm so excited.
who is a linebacker? He
He
is a linebacker. There you go. Now you know 3 Bills names.
I
Bring the
know
Bills
3
lads.
Bills.
Yeah.
And Deion Dawkins, the snowman. So I'll have you know. I know at least 4 Bills lads.
That's pretty good. And James Cook, I just taught you another one. He's a running back.
So 5 Bills
There.
lads.
You practically know the whole team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
not.
Anyway,
We
sorry.
got-
This is not a sports
Okay.
podcast. We got off topic.
We did. That's okay. I'd like to bring it back to more of our style content and let you know that a weird thing has happened as a result of this show.
Oh, yes.
And that is that my Instagram feed is now 38% raccoon. Like I pull it up and every third story or every third, video or whatever is a raccoon doing something freaking adorable. And it's hard to continue hating them.
No, mine is as well, and it's very hard, especially when they're super fat and they're just like rolling down a hill. I mean,
Or they're laying on their back and just getting spun around and like just having the time of their life. And it's really hard to stay mad at raccoons. And then you see a few of them where like they've destroyed somebody's like house because they have a pet, but it's still a wild animal. And even though it's their pet, and it just wreaks havoc because that's what raccoons do. So you have to remember that.
yeah, they have thumbs. Like you can't trust them.
I have thumbs. You can't trust me. So I agree with that statement. But
I mean, yeah.
but
I also have
does-
thumbs.
it does lead us to things like this wonderful bit of what do they call it when it's like English, but it's been translated from an Asian language, and it's not Spanglish because that's if it's Spanish, but like if it's been translated from an Asian language into English and it doesn't quite work right, like basically every instruction you ever get if you buy something from Temu.
So it's I believe the borderline politically correct term is English.
English, okay, yeah, I've heard that. We mean it. all due respect. We don't want to be making slurs, but
Yeah, and I think there are even more wildly
racist. Oh,
wild. I think that's the least racist.
okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. But it led to this sentence, which just made me very happy, which was, "Please be careful of not let the pig enter the raccoon room."
I love
And
that one.
I know you sent that one to me. I think that was you, or else I saw it. I don't know. I lose track because raccoons are flying back and forth between Brian and I on Instagram at a rate that is unparalleled in the history of modern times. It's just basically a raccoon highway at this point.
It's true. It's really true.
Yeah, I didn't see that happening when we started. When Brian came to me like 3 or 4 months ago and said, "Hey, we should start a podcast," I didn't see that, a third of a year later, my Instagram feed would be completely transformed into almost exclusively raccoon and occasionally duck content. But here we are.
It makes me wonder, is it the raccoon duck highway on the internet? Do people who consume raccoon content also
Also,
consume duck? Is that a similar thing? I don't know.
I think so. It feels that way. It is, at least in our case, it definitely is the raccoon duck highway, and there is no getting around it. It just is, and that's okay. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm not ready to have a raccoon of my own just yet, but I am warming up to them just because they do some adorable things.
It's true.
It's
It is also apparently illegal to own a raccoon as a pet in Colorado, but not in Wyoming.
okay. Well, I guess I have to move, a couple hours north if I want to. If I really want to pursue my dream, if it becomes my dream, but we're not to that point yet, so I'm okay. What about New York State? Are you able to own a raccoon in New York? It feels like no,
No.
probably. But yeah, okay,
The
that's
answer
what I
is no.
figured.
We
Yeah.
also don't have raccoons here. We only have ducks and squirrels.
That is part of the lore. Buffalo is a wasteland with no wildlife except for ducks and squirrels, and weird squirrels too. Like they're
Weird
reject
squirrels.
squirrels that were not good enough to make it in Colorado. They exported them out. They're like the immigrants that have come into the country, and then Donald Trump wants to get rid of them. Basically, they're the rejects, the squirrels that get ejected out of New York. That's what Donald Trump would do to immigrants. Is what these squirrels have had done to them, I guess. Or maybe they're just native there, not here. That could be it also. But
I think they're native. I think those squirrels are actually native to Canada, and they just came across
they just came across the border illegally.
illegally.
Oh, illegal squirrels crossing our borders.
Send them home. Go back to where you belong.
On day one, I'll be getting rid of all the illegal squirrels. I wish that's all you would focus on.
There is a
the
disturbing
squirrel
amount of
invaders to the
squirrels.
north.
Yeah, no, but in truth, there is a lot of them.
Yes, I'm guessing there's even raccoons there. I'm thinking you're joking.
Yeah, there are raccoons. Yeah,
Because raccoons, they're like cockroaches. They could survive the nuclear apocalypse. Pretty sure.
it is true. Pretty sure. Yeah. I don't know if they have any unique. Are they more? I know they're like large rodents. I wonder if they're closer to like marsupials in that way, and marsupials are pretty hardy.
Maybe. They don't have a pouch though. Possums are marsupials, but I don't think raccoons qualify. This is where we get deep zoologically.
I know, right?
Every week we have to do it on something. It's usually raccoons, occasionally squirrels, every now and then a duck. Oh, speaking of ducks, how great is that video of the woman, or all the blindfolded Asian women trying to catch the duck, and the duck just being like, "Nope, this is not happening."
So amazing. I love that. I also love that video of that series of videos like how to X a duck. And it's like how to pick up a duck. You must approach the duck and state
from
your
the front.
intentions.
Yes, and then hello, I'm going to pick you up now, and then he just picks up the duck. There's some crazy stuff on the internet. I'm here for it. I like it. It's good. So yeah, raccoons and ducks, guys. Yep.
Yeah,
we're about it.
Anyways,
So.
sorry, we just came off a week of like family and holidays and all that stuff. So
we haven't had a chance to debrief in 2 weeks. This is the first time we've taken more than a week break from recording, not from posting, but from recording.
It's true, yeah.
But I think we're in the sweet spot. We have one in the can, so if an emergency ever came up where we couldn't record, we still have that. But we're also going to be mostly current at this point, so I think we're good.
Yeah, we'll be mostly current, and it's no longer like themed content, so
right. So it doesn't have to fit within the Christmas, and I use that with quotes around it, content type. Dealio there. So anyway, so how was your week, Brian? Anything? Or your 2 weeks? How's your half a month been going, Brian? Anything exciting or interesting happen?
Not really. Just been working. I did go to a really good brewery here in Buffalo called Woodcock Brothers. It's how did I describe it? It's like Art Deco on the outside and like solid wood industrial on the inside.
That's weird. but that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have food was great. Yeah, the beer was great. They had a red ale and a really good like Marzan called Cocktoberfest because they're
The
woodcock
red cock
presents, of
or
course.
woodcock, right? There you go.
Yeah, which was pretty good. And then they also did so a big thing here in Buffalo is called beef on whack. I'm sure I've described it to you before.
I've
Have
heard
I?
of this before. I don't know if I've heard of because that's why Buffalo Wild Wings used to be Buffalo Wild Wings and Weck, which is why we call it BW3s. But
Oh. Mm.
I don't entirely. I've heard of it because of that, but I don't really know what Weck is. It sounds to me like a wet sandwich, and that's probably not right. But
So so weck is short for Kimmelweck, and it's a type of bun, and it's basically a beef sandwich on a special salty bun, essentially.
okay,
And you can get it with a little bit of au jus, and it can be wet if you
it
want
can
it
be a
to
wet
be.
sandwich. Yeah, but it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be.
doesn't have to be, no. But what they did at this place is they made it into a pizza, a beef on weck pizza. So they use like a Kimmelweck
Crust.
crust, and it's so good.
Okay.
It works.
Are you adding it? Are you adding that to our list of places we have to visit when I'm there for a weekend in September or
Yes.
whatever? Okay.
Yes.
We also have to visit the Buffalo store apparently because I got a very excited phone call from Brian a few days ago. Like, you have to try and check out this place. It's the Buffalo store. I'm like, okay, cool. I was,
Yeah, no, it
I'm
was
excited for it now.
crazy. It was all blue, white, and red,
Yeah, it
which
makes
is
sense.
the Buffalo
The
colors.
Bills colors, right?
The Bills colors, yeah. And then it's like they had the Saber, what is it? It's the Sabers, the Bills, and then the lacrosse team, the Bandits, which are
Bandits.
massive for some reason.
They're pretty big. Yeah, they're in the same league as the Colorado Mammoth, and there have been a couple of times where those two teams have fought for the championship, I believe.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
our best team is the lacrosse team, the Bandits, which is crazy.
But they're
So
very popular up there, huh?
they are, yeah. Apparently it's a
That's cool.
Canadian thing. They train in Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Okay.
So, which is
If you ever
across the border.
if you ever get a chance, you should go to one of those games because they're like I've been to several Mammoth games and they are super fun. So
Okay.
it's a
Wow.
good time. I would recommend it. You don't really have to know what's going on. You'll figure it out, and you don't have to know all
Wow.
the rules because there's probably a lot of them, but I don't know all of them. But you get, put ball into net is the basic premise of what you're going for, and it's a good time. So I would recommend it.
Okay. Duly noted. Also, bring your passport so we can go to Canada.
Oh, I will for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much what happened to me.
That's your week. I have two. One which was from 2 weeks ago when I was in Chicago, Illinois. We went to the Blue Man Group because they have like a permanent show in Chicago, and so we
In
took all the kids,
Chicago.
everybody.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
man. I know. So it's
Hmm.
down. It's like a third of a mile away from Wrigley Field. So I did like a little walking pilgrimage because we got there. We ate brunch first, then we had a couple hours to kill, so we just walked over to Wrigley Field and kind of walked around it and checked it out. Then we went to the Blue Man Group show, and
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen a Blue Man Group show. They're fun. They're enjoyable. It's not. I mean, it's not the greatest show that you've ever seen, but it's a fun time.
Hmm.
But they pull people up onto stage sometimes. Like I think they pulled like maybe 4 or 5 people throughout the whole show. And
Hmm.
the very first person they pulled up was my sister-in-law, and
That's funny.
it was awesome. It was so great. And then they also pulled up this other guy. And my sister-in-law is married to my brother-in-law, so
Wait. Your sister-in-law is married to your brother-in-law, so they're not related to you in any way?
well, my brother-in-law. Well, actually, none of them are related to me because they're all in law, so they're not related to me by blood.
So,
My
I'm saying so like your family married into another family, and their family are your brother and sister. Got it. Okay.
sort of. Well, my
Okay.
let's get rid of my wife's brother is my brother-in-law, and
Okay. Yes, that's correct.
yes, thank you. And his wife is my sister. I don't know. Would you say sister-in-law? In-law? I say just sister-in-law. But they're both. So I'm doubly
Okay.
not related to this woman who got pulled up. Yes, yes, okay. But she's been in the family for 20 years, and I've been for 25, and they're family, even though we're not related. And so she gets pulled up onto stage, and they also pull up this other guy, and then they like start trying to initiate a relationship between the two, which is great. Like they hand each other phones. So they have like these old style cordless phones from like 1992, and they're
Oh,
like
that's amazing.
when I talk to them, it's over the mic, like it's over the the audio system or whatever. So like
Mhm.
everything that's being said is being broadcast to the entire audience, and like they don't tell them what to do because the Blue Man never ever talk, like ever throughout the
Mhm.
whole thing. They just mime everything basically, and so they're just up there awkward as hell, and that's kind of the point, I think. And they're just starting like have this like chit chat conversation, and then they start like they give him flowers and they like nudge for him to give it to her, and then they give him or they give her a box of chocolates to give to him, and then like they just keep going back and forth. And then after a few minutes up on stage, they put a veil over his head, and then they handcuff them together, and they start playing the marriage waltz or whatever. So my brother-in-law got to watch his wife marry somebody else, and it was lovely. It was wonderful. It made me laugh very much. So having someone you actually personally know get kind of publicly humiliated by blue men, pretty
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no,
was fun.
that's really good.
That was
We love
cool.
that.
I did love it. It was awesome. And then last night, this is totally different, but I went to the grocery store because I was making black bean tacos and we didn't have enough black beans. I only had one can and I needed two.
Hmm.
And so I ran to the grocery store just to buy a can of black beans. So I'm buying my black beans. I didn't get a bag because, first of all, in Colorado they cost 10 cents ever since the beginning of last year or 2 years ago. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And there's no reason for that. I don't need to spend 10 cents for. I'm just carrying a can of beans. And as I'm walking out of the grocery store, this guy starts walking like right behind me, but like uncomfortably close to me.
Hmm.
And it's like just kind of weird. So I like start trying to speed up walking, and then he just keeps speed up. Like he's so close to me the whole way out. And I'm like, what is going on? And then as I get out to the parking lot, it continues until finally he diverts one way and I divert the other way, and there's no scene or whatever. But like this went on for probably 45 seconds of just walking through the grocery store, leaving like just the guy is really close to me. It was probably like 15 seconds, honestly, if I'm being it felt like it was a minute. In that amount of time, I had enough time to be like, one, this is awkward. And then two, if something were about to go down, could I beat a man to death with a can of black beans? This is a thought that entered my head. I am not a violent person. I mean, unless it's a mouse who I've been asked to kill, I generally don't resort to violence.
Unless it was a mouse you were asked to kill.
But yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Right. I'm not a killer. I'm not someone who goes out seeking violence. I try to, be peaceful in the world or whatever. But I literally, do you ever have these like overly violent thoughts that don't really fit with who you are, but you're like, it's like your reptilian brain taking over. Like, I could kill this guy with this can of beans is solid enough. Maybe I could kill. And so I'm wondering that. And then I get in the car and I'm like, what the hell was that? Why am I thinking about killing someone with a can of beans? All he was doing is leaving the grocery store slightly too close to me, and yet it took all of 15 seconds for my brain to. So anyway, that's what's happened to me this week. Is one.
That's a little,
yeah.
It's a little wild. Yeah, I believe those are called. It's called the Call of the Void or errant thoughts.
Okay. Errant thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah,
errant
I believe
thoughts.
that's what those are. Errant thoughts.
I would. That sounds about right.
I believe so. Anyways.
Then it made me also think like, are there people who just like every day this isn't unusual for them to think about killing people with cans of black beans? And then it made me more scared about those types of people.
I don't think you're turning into a sociopath or psycho killer.
I hope not. I hope not. That would be. I think I'm okay. I feel. I mean, we're only 4 months, or no, we're only 13 weeks into this show, so give it time. We'll see. But so far, so good. I think we're okay.
Okay. Well,
right. It's like,
yeah.
What have I created?
What have I created? This man is now contemplating getting a raccoon as a pet. And...
Right. It's really changed my life having a podcast.
Yeah. Just wild. Just wild. Anyways, I think it's time for the news.
All right. I have a news story. I was very excited until about, 10 minutes prior to the show starting.
Okay.
And then I got sad because I read all of the text, or not all the text, but all of the, what am I trying to say? The direct messages on Instagram, including one sent from you.
Oh, no.
And yeah. And suddenly my news story didn't seem quite as good as yours. I just want to...
What news story did offend you?
Oh, it didn't offend me. It delighted me. But also, I didn't have enough time to investigate it, so I couldn't do it for the news. But we are going to read the headline before we get to my news, because this is a headline of a story. Well, it's not even a story. It's a post. So I haven't verified that this is true. I don't know. This is the headline that was sent to you by me, or sent to me by you, and it was simply: a burglar contracted syphilis and 2 types of herpes after snorting more than 50 grams of dried human semen in the mistaken belief that it was illegal drugs. And
oh my god, I forgot about that.
And that had me interested. So I definitely want to read more about this story because wow.
Yeah, that is a hell of a headline.
That's quite the headline. So that potentially happened.
Correct.
And wow. So my story is not that good.
Well, I
It's
mean, when you compare it to that, yeah.
but that headline, I had to say it because oh my god.
You know, I actually one of these days, one of these weeks, just to say, hey man, I don't have a good news story. I have a fantastic news story from right here in Buffalo that blew my mind, and it will blow your mind too. I will give you no further information and will not take any more questions.
Yeah, you can do that. If you ever need to just, double up on the news, we can do that if you need to. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, well, I have two stories. The first one is well, it's brief. It does need to be at least mentioned, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, hang on a second here. I had it. Here we go. Here we go. All right. This happened in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yes, in Stearns County, Minnesota. A tanker, large truck carrying 6,400 gallons of milk,
Oh no.
driven by a man named Joshua Colzer of Melrose, Minnesota, got a little too close to the shoulder of the road, started to sink into the softer surface,
Oh
and the
no.
truck fell over, and a large majority of the 6,400 gallons of milk spilled onto the roadway.
No.
Fortunately, no one was injured in the crash, which is good because that meant there was no crying, because as we all know, there's no crying over spilt milk.
God damn it, Craig.
So I just had to do it. I'm sorry.
I know. I
I'm
know.
a
It was
bad
low
person.
hanging fruit. It was
It
low
really
hanging
was.
fruit.
But I had to. So yeah, so that happened. Lots of milk spilled in Minnesota. So if you have Oreos and just can't afford milk, make your way to Minnesota. There you go.
There's some free range milk just frozen on the road.
Free range milk, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's cold enough, so it's probably still good. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend. Maybe not. Maybe not do that. So now here's the good. Well, here's the story that makes me happy. I should say. I don't know if it's good, but to me, it was enjoyable, and that's really what we're going for. This is in a place called Seaside, California. A man whose name is really weird. His name is Etienne Constable. And we were going to call him Eddie for the rest of this because it's much easier than calling him Etienne. I saw a video of him. He didn't seem French, but his name is Etienne. So anyway, Eddie
Okay.
received a letter from the city of Seaside, California, asking him to comply with local ordinances and conceal the boat that he's had parked in his driveway for about 4 years with no issues. Apparently, there is a law in place in Seaside, California to protect property values because people will occasionally put their boats out on the driveway and then just like let them rot and oil starts spilling and it becomes an eyesore, that kind of thing. This guy uses his boat regularly. It's in good shape. It wasn't an eyesore. It was just parked on the side of his house in his driveway. But he got a note from the city that said you have to screen it on the side and in the front with at least a 6-foot fence.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'd be facing fees.
Okay.
And Eddie was a little annoyed at this, but he's like, I'm not someone who wants to break the law, so I will comply. So what he did is he installed a fence around the boat, but then he hired his neighbor, mural artist Hanif Panini. The people's names in this are crazy. I love it. Hanif Panini to paint a photorealistic image of the boat and the rest of the driveway on the fence that faces the road.
That is so amazingly petty. I love it.
So the mural was completed in early May. He is now following the rules because his boat is behind a fence. He is also sort of not following the rules because the scene looks exactly the same as it did before. As is my custom with visual things that are happening on the show, I did post to the Untitled with Brian and Craig Instagram photos so that you can see what this fence looks like. And also it's 3 photos in the same post where you can also see what it looks like when like one side of the door is open and the other side of the door is open. It's pretty much indistinguishable. It's great. Yeah, nothing has changed except the fact that he is now following the law because his boat is behind a fence. And
HOAs, man.
I know, right? Well, this is the city. This wasn't even an HOA. This was the city saying that he had to do this. So, yeah. Eddie said that he kind of hit the sweet spot between following the rules and making an elegant statement to the contrary, which is a great way to live your life. This guy is a hero, and he should be celebrated as such. And then Seaside City Manager, you would think that maybe they'd be pissed because, like, I mean, he's following the rules, but also kind of not following the rules. But, like,
right.
Yeah, you would think they might be like, this is not good, but they think it's wonderful. Like the Seaside Manager says, all I'm going to do is give him a high five. This is amazing.
Well,
so yeah, so
at least they have a sense of humor.
Right. And what we've learned is that everyone wins with art. basically. The city gets what it wants, kind of. Eddie gets what he needs, and now there's a cool like mural, and it is a pretty cool mural because literally looks like the house is in the same place where the house is. You can like he like painted in part of the chimney, the
Oh, that's
bushes
cool.
behind it. It's awesome. Yeah, it looks really cool. So yeah, so both rules are both followed and broken simultaneously. It's Schrodinger's mural on the wall.
Schrodinger's boat fence.
That's right. Ooh, that's a good show title.
That
Schrodinger's
really
boat
is.
fence. But anyway, yeah. So I'm Craig, and that is the news.
The news. All right, Craig.
All right, it's
So-
brain break time. This is. Hey, give me a second to loosen up because you've prepared me that I'm going to need fixing after this. So
Yes.
all right, I'm good to go.
In the previous episode, so I send Craig on Instagram not only raccoon and duck content, but also really hilariously bad anime dubs.
True.
And he's like, I don't have any context for this except it's just really fucking weird. And that's fine because I sending it to him and it is weird and I think he should consume it because I like to send Craig the most unhinged shit I can find.
Also true.
But like Craig doesn't watch anime, which is fine.
No.
So I decided I have to explain certain things about anime, and it may or may not get him to watch anime. However, because there are some beautiful, amazing stories told in that art form, and there are also some absolute dumpster fires
Some-
in the art form as well.
I can verify the dumpster fire stuff because you have sent me many of them that I do not understand. But yeah, dumpster fire is a great way to explain it. I don't get what's happening. It's kind of like when I talk football to you, and then I have to explain the things because you don't
Yes.
fully understand it all. It's kind of like the whole, yeah. It's where we explain and fill in the holes for each other.
Yes.
When in our knowledge. So yes, I'm excited about this because I do need more context. So yes, please proceed.
So obviously, most 99, 98, I could safely say 98% of all anime that gets over here that we watch in America is from Japan. Some of it from China, and some of it is from Korea, but majority
Japan.
is from
Yeah.
Japan. Correct.
That is what I associate. Yes, is Japanese. Yes.
Yes. So there are two. I mean, obviously you have your big genres like horror and sci-fi and action and comedy and all that stuff. But you also have with the two major genres that they all fall into, and this is important, Craig, is shoujo and shonen.
Shoujo and shonen. Okay, I'm taking
And
notes.
shonen. Okay, so shoujo is meant for women. Like so I mean, obviously you have, your sci-fi and your horror and all that comedy. The majority of the stuff in shoujo is like uplifting and it deals with romance and relationships and things like that.
So shoujo is Hallmark Channel anime.
Yeah, for the most part, but I mean there's
Okay.
more. It's geared towards teen girls and women.
Okay.
Typically. And I mean, there's all sorts of different things. I mean, and it's not like, I'm a manly man, I can't watch shoujo. No, some of the best stories are from shoujo, and they're hilarious. Okay, so now there's shonen, which, as you can guess, is geared towards
men. I'm guessing this is
Towards
more
men.
of the Jiggly style. I'm guessing.
No. Ghibli
No!
is
No, not Ghibli.
is
Nope. Jiggly.
jiggly. Are you talking about like
Yes.
My Neighbor Totoro and stuff, or
No. It's the unhinged stuff you send me with
oh
where things jiggle. It's jiggly.
yes, that is the stuff.
I don't want to go into more detail. I feel like
I understand.
Jiggly covers it pretty well.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Well,
Okay,
yes. I have sent
okay.
you some more. Yes. So most of the unhinged stuff that I do send you is shonen because
Gotcha.
anime and men were a mistake, and I'm just going to say that straight up.
Okay, very good.
So you have all of your stuff, and back on topic, you have all of your stuff within shonen, and shonen is a lot of, say, like action or
Okay,
like
right.
dirty comedy, like raunchy comedies, and a lot of the
Yes.
stuff. And so there's two, I think, specific genres that are only in anime and shonen, and that's the harem anime, which is a bunch of women characters, and they're all thirsty for the main character who's like this bumbling idiot of a man.
Oh, so it's like male fantasy then that suddenly the guy who's kind of a loser has
Right.
women fighting over him. We have
Right.
that in America too. It happened a lot in the 80s where like some bubbling character would be in a romantic comedy and there would be several just smoking hot women who wanted him. So yeah, this transcends cultures, I think, because
Correct. Yeah.
writers just want to write stories about people like them getting lucky with women. So
This shonen genre, the harem genre, like honed and refined it. And
okay.
I use those two words very loosely. Because most harem stuff is a dumpster fire.
Yes, as I would guess.
Yeah, there's some notable standouts. Tenchi Muyo, which is actually pretty good. It's about this guy who finds out he's supposed to save the world, and there's all these women sci-fi sorceresses trying to get with him, but he also needs to like save the universe. It's problematic, but it's good. It's a classic. And then there's Monster Musume, which is basically
That's a good name. I'm sorry. That's a good name. Is all I was going to say. I shouldn't interrupt you, but I did.
oh
Good
yeah,
name.
no, you're fine. So Monster Musume is a modern classic, and I use the word classic loosely because it loosely translates to Every Day with Monster Girls, and it is definitely someone's fetish.
Uh oh.
And yeah, so we're talking like buxom women
Right.
that are snake women or spider girls or harpies or horse girls, stuff like that, like actual like centaurs, not horse girls, centaurs. So
Okay.
yeah, and I'll it is super troubling. It is very troubling. I'm, and then the other genre is and it's gone. Oh god, there was the other genre and it's totally gone, and I forgot.
Not harem.
It's not
Harem
harem, no.
and
It's harem and oh my god, it's isekai. That's the one.
isekai. Okay.
Isekai, and that's the most. I guess it's the most like normal. It's the
Okay.
most prevalent, popular one of
Shinjin?
shonen.
Shonen. Shonen. Sorry.
Yeah. So isekai is ones where like there's a running meme about truck coon, and the word coon is like boy, and it makes it kind of cutesy, but it's literally a truck that smashes into the main character, kills them, and they wake up in another world. So that's isekai. They like always start with getting smashed by truck coon.
That's the whole genre. Is getting hit by a truck at the beginning.
Yeah, they get hit by a truck or they die in some horrible way and they get reincarnated as a demon lord or like one of the five great heroes. Stuff like that. But my favorite one, and they also have famously long titles, like I was sent to another world for 100 years where I basically spent my time learning to become a potion master and now I have to save the world. Like super long shit like that. Like that is the name
Okay.
of a title. But my favorite one is Reborn in Another World as a magical vending machine. I'm not shitting you, that is the real title.
Reborn in a magical world as a magical vending machine.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this guy gets hit by truck coon, wakes
Of
up,
course.
and he's like, holy shit, I'm a vending machine, and like a magical vending machine and sentient. And so he's like basically feeding an army as a vending machine, and they give him gold, and he uses gold to like gets gold to change his inventory so he can do like at night he gives soldiers soup and hot cocoa, and during the day he gives them like beer and refreshing water, stuff like that. It's actually pretty good, but it's also like somebody spent the time to storyboard this, animate it, and come up with it. And kudos to them.
That that is some wild narrative, is what that is. Yeah. Okay.
And I believe there's something. I know there's one, and there's probably another genre specific just to shoujo for girls, and one of
Yes.
them is the magical girl type of show. So
Is this like your Sailor Moons?
yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura made them wildly popular. But I'm going to tell you something that probably not a lot of people know, and this will indeed break your brain.
Okay.
So,
But we're finally getting to it because this has all been so pedestrian so far, Brian.
so there is a mangaka. A mangaka is someone who draws manga,
Okay.
and his name is Go Nagai.
Good
and
name.
great name. Go Nagai is known for making really hyper violent and hyper sexualized stuff. So like he did Devilman, where he it's really violent and really sexualized and stuff like that. But he also
Okay.
created the very first Magical Girl anime show. It was supposed to be for boys, but they got like a time slot change, and they were told of this time slot change, so they had to like rework everything in like the last minute. So he created this show called Cutie Honey, and it's basically about this girl who it's been redone a couple of times. So if I remember correctly, the girl, her name is Honey. She had a horrible accident, and now her dad is like a scientist and puts her body or consciousness into an android, and she can change into things. And she basically, it's kind of like Barbie. She kind of has, she's like journalist Honey or like biker bitch Honey, and I'm pretty sure biker bitch Honey is one of the names of the actual characters. The other one, like Dr. Honey, stuff like that, right? And you all have
Okay.
and it's geared, it was at one point geared towards men, but now it was geared towards not, I wouldn't say little girls, but like teen girls.
Sure. It's
And
empowering.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And he accidentally created this whole genre, but it's kind of weird because like all the outfits are like weirdly sexualized, but it's like geared towards women, and she like turns into, and so her default form is Cutie Honey, where she like has a sword and vanquishes evil and shit like that. But she's in school and she's being hounded by one of the instructors there, who is an older woman whose last name is Hitler. I'm not making this up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this came out in like I think this late 60s, early 70s, so somewhere around there.
Okay. So Hitler was still somewhat fresh in people's minds.
Yeah. And
Oh,
not quite as good as Starfish Hitler in that Instagram reel that I sent you though.
nothing is
Not,
better than that. That is
nothing.
amazing.
So Cutie Honey goes through all these things, and throughout the years, it got, I guess it kind of went back towards gearing towards men because it obviously got super sexualized and even more sexualized. In I think it's one of the original theme songs. It's like, who's that girl with the big boobs? It's Cutie Honey. And you're like, that's weird. And then you're
Oh
like,
no!
who's that girl with the tiny perky butt? It's Cutie Honey. And you're like, this
What?
is
What?
horrible.
No, that's not okay. Maybe it
Yeah.
is in Japan. I don't know, but it seems like it shouldn't be.
Well,
Ugh.
this was like in, the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
And
Okay. Wow.
no shit, that theme song has kept with it the whole time.
And it's still happening?
Yeah, I think the last Cutie Honey show that was made was in like 2022 or 2020.
And they're still using "Who's That Girl with the Perky Boobs"?
Correct. Yes, that is the
Okay.
so there's that. That is
That-
that's a crash course. And then there's Ghost Stories, which I think was supposed to be a horror, which is supposed to
Okay.
be a horror one.
Is that Shin? Oh God, I'm never gonna remember these names. Shinjin
Shonen.
or Shonen?
Shonen.
Or
Yeah.
Shonen is the men one.
Yes, Shonen is for
Okay.
men, shoujo is for
Okay.
girls.
Shoujo, and Shonen.
Right.
That'll never stick in my brain, but okay.
Well, you'll pick it up. So anyways, so Ghost Stories notoriously was so bad in Japan that when AD Vision Films, the licensor, went to them to get it, they were like, "Hey, listen, it sold really bad, so just do whatever the hell you want, except you have to keep it true to Japanese lore. You can't change the names of the characters." And there was like a couple other things. But the voice actors basically went fucking wild. And
Okay.
so that's where you get that infamous English dumpster fire dub, which is truly, truly amazing, but it is also truly, truly troubling and truly, truly not acceptable by today's standards, because it came out like '04, I think, the height of the Bush era.
Is this when the one you were sending me with that weird two-eyed cat, or like the two color-eyed cat and all of those
Yes.
things, or is it something? Okay. Yeah,
That's
those
Ghost
were
Stories.
those were disturbing, weird. I don't know what to make of it. So
Yeah, that's
okay.
the one
Yeah.
where a girl in middle school is heavily implied to have had sex with a rabbit.
Yeah, and you wonder why I don't watch anime, Brian.
Well, I mean, you get usual like better stories like
Yeah.
Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, which is about this girl who professes her love to this guy who turns out writes shoujo manga, and it's a romance, but she like gets roped into doing his work as a mangaka. So I guess that's a dissection on shoujo anime and manga, but it's funny and it's great. So
Okay.
you can get really good stories. But then you get, crap like My First Girlfriend's a Gal, where this one girl. So, gal is a loose translation of gyaru, which is basically like punk ass teen girls, essentially.
Okay.
Like Valley Girls, I guess, would be the closest
American.
analogy to them. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're basically like, flirty and like they say like hella and shit like that.
Okay. So like California Girls but in Japan.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Very good.
But you get shit like that one like that where one of the official English dub of it is basically like it's like so the main character's name is Yukana, and this guy basically goes up to her and says, "Hey, I like you. I think you're pretty. Let's go out." So they do, and it's a romance, but it turns into like some disturbing harem anime. But anyways, there's a line in there. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a line in there where one of Yukana's friends like ends up at his house, and she's like, this guy isn't good enough for her. And so she does what every normal, well-adjusted teen punk ass girl would do. And Craig, what do you think that is?
I didn't even begin to venture a guess with anime. I don't know. What something wild, I'm guessing.
She's like, I'm gonna fuck you so hard you forget all about my friend.
You sent me this, and I didn't know what it was, and I watched this, and
Yeah.
I was like, the hell am I watching, Brian? Okay,
Yes.
now I have some context. It's still disturbing, but at least now I know what it was.
Yes. There's also a bunch of like crazy cultural things which would take a whole other hour to describe. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. That's your first
Woo!
crash course.
Okay.
How's your brain there? How's your brain, buddy?
Well, it's okay simply because here's what you've done. You've told me that anime, there's good normal anime, and then there's like the disturbing stuff with the wild voice dubs that you've sent me.
Yes.
But then you tell me about like the classics of the genre, and then go on to describe wild ass stories that make no sense, like a truck boy kills someone at the beginning of the story. They're transported to a different dimension, and then they are turned into a vending machine which serves armies.
Correct.
So while all of that sounds interesting, none of it sounds normal. So my opinion of anime hasn't really changed because everything you've told me is like crazy. And so like my opinion of anime is just like everything in it is crazy. And I'm not saying that as a knock. I'm just saying that as like nothing is normal about this. And so like when you explain anime plots to me, it doesn't break my brain because I am going in expecting the wildest possible narratives that could exist. And then like they go beyond what my brain could possibly come up with on its own. And so like it's almost like I'm protected by this expectation of utter nonsense. So my brain is because you're talking about anime. Like there's literally nothing you can tell me that's going to break my brain because all of it is by nature brain breaking, and therefore I expect it. So my expectations cannot be subverted because like what you'd have to do would be like, well, there's this girl and this guy, and then they're kind of at odds at first, and then slowly they fall in love, and at the end of the movie they end up married. Like that would actually maybe break my brain because it would be the most pedestrian of all narratives. And
oh man,
I would
wait,
and that would, but like a guy turning into a live vending machine is not possible to break my brain because I was already expecting something completely crazy. So, but that doesn't mean I don't want to hear these stories about people turning into vending machines or being killed by boy trucks and being sent into alternate dimensions immediately after their deaths. Because I'm interested in hearing about that too. But I think by nature I'm expecting something that just like, wait, what did they do? So I don't know.
I suppose like you're getting told on the train like before all the normal like pedestrian plots have been explored.
Right. So I'm getting on the train when it's going like Mach 9, and it's like, yeah, this thing is going to go fast. It's like, well, the speed's not blowing my mind because I was told it's going to be going very fast, and so that's what I was expecting. So I don't know.
Well,
it's very enjoyable, but my brain remains surprisingly intact and pliable, given what I've just been told.
Well, that's good. Well, then there's also shows like last one called Zombieland Saga, which is about a teen girl who wants to become. So in Japan, they have these thing called idol groups where they're basically like celebrities. but they belong
Okay.
in groups. So like boy bands and girl bands, stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. Or like the Brat Pack or something from the 90s or the
Yeah,
80s.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay. Yeah.
And she's like, she has this thing she's applying to this music group, and she one step out of her doorway and gets smashed by a truck.
This is a recurring theme. At the beginning, someone gets hit by a truck. Okay, go ahead.
Correct. But she doesn't wake up in another world. She wakes up in the same world just years later as a zombie. And this guy resurrected a bunch of other zombie girls and like does really good makeup on them and puts them in an idol group so that they sing and dance to resurrect the glory of this prefecture called Saga. And it's very wholesome and very good. But throughout the whole show, they're trying to like hide the fact that they're zombies, but they're like on this public stage, and it's really good and it's funny as hell.
Okay. Yeah, that checks out. So girls have been brought back to life and are performing
Mhm.
and trying to make sure that no one discovers that they're zombies.
Correct. While they try to save this prefecture.
What is a prefecture? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
It's I guess it's kind of like a county.
Oh, okay. So
Like
it's just like a landmass of people and with shared
yeah,
culture. Okay. Okay.
yeah. It's like Douglas County or Jefferson County in
Gotcha.
Colorado. That's kind of what it
Gotcha.
is.
But they're trying to save it from what?
That's a spoiler, Craig. And
Oh no!
I assure you, it's fairly pedestrian. It's
What does that mean in anime?
I will let your brain go wild.
Oh, good.
There you go,
Oh,
buddy.
all
There
right.
you go,
Very
buddy.
good. All right. Well. All right.
We have so much to work with.
Oh,
We have so much to work with.
so much. Okay. All right. I'm I'm gonna make mine an American action film,
Okay.
and it's gonna start with the guy who gets hit by a truck, but it's like
God
a cute
damn
truck.
it. But it's a cute truck. It's
Yeah, it's a cute truck. We need to come up with
Okay.
an English word that's like, what was it, truckson or whatever? What's the
Truckcoon.
truckoon? There you go. Something good. Trucky? No, that's not good.
Truck lad.
Truckito. Truck lad. Does that make it cute? Maybe. We could go into Spanish language and call it truckito.
Okay, truckito.
Okay, he gets hit by a truckito, and he awakes to find himself a vending machine, and
An
he's not
action-
happy about it.
It's an action thriller.
This is correct.
Okay.
So like his torso is a vending machine. He still has arms and legs, so he's not like just a vending machine. He's like an animatronic vending machine that can move around and
Okay.
But you can also put quarters in him and get a Reese's Pieces if you want. But he's being hunted by machines that want him dead.
Oh, no.
Terminator style. So what he decides to do is build a fence around him with a realistic version of him on the fence so that people attack the fence instead of him when they're trying to get him, and that alerts him. So even if he needs to take a nap or whatever, he can still sleep, but he's alerted to the presence of the killer robots coming to kill him. And then action scenes, after the fence is destroyed, action scenes begin, and he is forced to fight to the death with many of these robots. And his only weapon, because it's the only thing he can really grip, is a can of black beans. And he uses that to defeat many of these robots that want him dead. Yeah, he's able to crush them. And also the beans somehow, like, there's something about the beans and the magic of the beans that like crushes the opposition. He's got a magic black beans can, is all I'm saying. And he uses it to crush the souls of the killer robots. And there's just a lot of action. There's a lot of action scenes of him fighting robots with his can of beans. And every night he has to rebuild his fence structure because it gets you would think the robots would figure that out, but he destroys all of the ones that come to get him. And so eventually he destroys all the robots, and he ends up living happily with it's the soul of a girl who's been placed into a robot type thing because she was badly misfigured in an accident. And so she still lives, but she lives within this robot that's kind of, it can be a bad bitch or it can be Barbie style. It can be it can be anything you want. But there's like a love story between this robot because he's after all the killing robots, he wants to love a robot. So the vending machine man and the robot girl fall in love and have a family and little baby robot vending machines. And that's the end.
Amazing.
Thank you.
What you just described would have been a fairly popular anime, I'm pretty sure.
It sounds like it. Maybe I just missed my calling.
Yeah, maybe you did.
Oh,
man,
well, there you go. So that's my movie pitch.
that's your movie pitch.
But
Okay,
it's gotta be very American though. It's not gonna be stylized anime style. It's gonna look like it was made in America.
okay.
That's important to me.
That's important to you. Okay. So my movie is gonna be a slice of life with fantastical elements to it. So
I like it.
picture, what do you call it? Like The Adventures of Walter Schmitty, or oh my God, what is the other one?
Walter Mitty, but yes.
Walter Mitty. Yes, thank you. And the other one
You're
is,
welcome.
oh my God, it was big. Oh God, it was a movie filmed in Alabama. It had Robert De Niro in it. It had Jude Law, Ewan McGregor. It was super popular. Oh my God.
Is it where Jude Law's a robot?
No, that's
Oh,
iRobot.
yes,
Oh man.
that's what I was
Damn.
thinking.
Anyways,
Anyway,
so basically, it's about a guy. Okay, he is. Let's say he's played by Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Okay, and he's kind of
okay.
sad. And he's like, "Oh man, I write comic books, American comic books." And then, wouldn't you know it, he gets hit by a truck.
Well, okay. Derivative, but okay, we'll allow it.
No, he gets hit by a truck carrying a boat.
Ooh! Didn't
There
see
you
that's a good twist. That is a good twist.
There you go. So now he wakes up, and he's a young woman, and he has to write comic books, like Japanese comic books, so mangas.
Right.
He's a mangaka, or she is a mangaka, but she's on this boat, and it's her and everybody around her to help her get these done. And if she doesn't come up with like amazing mangas, the world ends. And she's like, "Why am I doing this? This is incredibly silly." And
That's a lot of
so,
pressure. The world ends
yes,
if she doesn't come up with a good story. Oh.
exactly. So she comes up with all these stories, and and all these plot twists are crazier than the last, because she's trying to like keep people engaged and readership and stuff like that. But there's all these men and women that are trying to get with her, and she's totally clueless, because she's like, "Oh my God, there's so much fucking pressure. Like, I have to write and conceptualize and all this stuff. And please stop trying to get in my pants. I just want to keep the world from ending."
Is the internal voice still Dwayne the Rock Johnson?
Correct. The internal voice is still Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I like this very much. Okay.
And throughout the movie, you learn that maybe she's not the only one that got isekai'd over here. Maybe she was just the final piece. So
So it's like a
yeah,
mystery too.
it's like a
You
mystery too.
discover
Yeah,
parts. Oh wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that has some potential. That's pretty good. I like that.
that is good. But
Oh wow. You've got me writing anime plots now. I'm a little concerned.
you know what? Just start pitching them on what is it? Not GitHub, and just get crazy with it.
There you go. Oh, but then they'll expect me to have some kind of idea of what I'm talking about, and I really won't, because
Well,
it's
you
important
can
to me that it's American.
Well, you can just subvert expectations.
There you go. There you go. I'll have to, because I won't be able to live up to the expectations, because I have no grounding in what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But
perfect.
in the meantime, I have this box of Q-tips, and oh no, I got hit by a truck.
It's come back as a
Oh,
specialized box of Q-tips
but
with
it's
a
come back.
much larger instructions on the back. It's so big, it's hard to read.
It's so big, it's so hard to read. It's scary. And oh no, now it's destroying downtown Buffalo. Oh wait, but it says to always read the back of the Q-tip box. So
You have to read the back of the Q-tip
you have
box,
to read the back of the Q-tip box.
even if it's a vending machine.
Untitled with Brian and Craig is produced and edited by me, Brian Dunnigan. It is also hosted by me, Brian Dunnigan, as well as Craig Dodge. Opening and ending themes are created by AI, so nobody has license to those.